All right, so hello and welcome to Math 126, which is applied statistics in this spring 2019 term. My name is Mike Deal, and I will be your professor and guide through this course this semester. This introductory video is just to kind of get you oriented to the course, to give you some um, feedback, I guess, and instructions on how to get registered for things, and just sort of provides an overview of what's to come this semester. So I'll start here on this is obviously our Canvas page here. So the syllabus, which is the first link here, I'll just spend a few minutes going through some of the things on here. So this is us here. The course runs from officially from March 13th through May 7th. Of course, you can begin the course now. You don't have to wait until March 13th to begin, and we'll actually finish. Our final exam is maybe due on the 4th or the 5th of May. I forget exactly which day, which gives me a day or two to get your grades in. But it's basically 8 weeks or so, or almost 2 months, I guess, which is plenty of time for sure to do this course. It is, a little bit condensed compared to a 15-week or 14-week semester, but not too bad to do in this time period and in this format. So this is me here, of course. I teach math and computer science here in the math department at Endicott. I teach full-time in the day school, which some of you may be day school students and others may be Van Loan students or not Endicott students at all, but you're all, of course, welcome. If you are on campus or if you are familiar with campus, with our campus, my office is in the Life Science and Business Building, 115. My phone number is there, but probably I don't really check my voicemail all that often. If you do need me, probably just email is the best way to get a hold of me. So feel free to email me with any questions that you might have. Since I am on campus, and some of you may be as well, I do have, sort of regular office hours for my in-person courses, which are basically every afternoon. I guess I put Monday through Thursday, but probably Friday as well, and basically in the afternoon, sometime 2 to 4-ish, sometimes in there a little bit after that. So if you are, wanting to meet in person, that's an option. But probably more likely you may just send me an email if you have questions, and I can usually give you some decent email feedback. I'll say a little bit more about that maybe in a little while. So the course itself is a fairly typical introductory statistics course. There's obviously no kind of assumption of any work or any prerequisites for this course, aside from just general math skills, mostly on the order of just basic computational abilities, knowing what a square root is and simple things like that. There's obviously no statistics or calculus or anything like that assumed at this point. I don't even think algebra. We won't really even use algebra at all. I don't think it's pretty much statistics is kind of a self-contained subject where just sort of basic numeracy is all you need in order to at least do the math part of it. So, anyways, hopefully this will be okay for everyone in terms of that. The topics that we'll go over are listed here in this sort of topical outline thing. Maybe you're sort of familiar with some of these things. You might know what a mean or a median and a mode are, and maybe some of these others things might sound slightly familiar. But this is a fairly traditional course that if you look at it at most schools, they more or less cover these topics. For you all, you may be taking this course to satisfy just a gen ed requirement. It may be a requirement for your thesis, or who knows. But it is a pretty good sort of general course that a lot of majors can benefit from. I think most notably anything really in the business realm. Statistics are certainly a big part of decision making and finance and things of that nature. in the social science world. So, maybe psychology or criminal justice or anything really in in those areas. Most research is statistically oriented. A lot of times you're reading studies, and it's largely based on clinical or observational data, and trying to analyze how does this group feel as compared to this other group. Anyway, so there's a lot of nice tie-ins, and even just within everyday life for all of us, certainly there's lots of data in our lives, and statistics. Sort of comes in many different forms. So this course should give you at least a decent sense of what a lot of this stuff means. And just generally helping with your literacy, sort of quantitative literacy in the world. So I'd mention all of this just to say there are certainly either courses or skills that build on after this course. So some of you may be taking research methods and research methods type course, or even in senior thesis where you're basically doing research methods. And this is sort of a precursor to a lot of that stuff that sort of is the foundational material. And then you would go into more depth about the specific tests and whatnots that your major or your program of study might use. So anyway, okay, so that's the course. Other things to point out, we will be using a textbook for the course. However, it's an ebook, so there is no physical textbook. It's just a online textbook, and that is bundled with an online homework system, which collectively are called My Stat Lab. And what this package, I guess, does is there is an ebook, and I'll show you what this site looks like in a few minutes. There is an ebook, of course, for the course, which is just a standard textbook that's been sort of converted to an online or an electronic version. But then there are also homework problems that are a part of the course that are going to be sort of auto-graded, I guess you would say, or self-checked within this homework management system. So I'll give you a little orientation to all of that. But that's the only resource, I guess, in terms of a textbook that you need to worry about. Aside from a textbook, I will say you do want to have some access to Microsoft Excel. So hopefully maybe you have that installed on a laptop or a computer that you have regular access to. I should say if you don't have it personally yourself, I mean, you're welcome to buy it if you want. If you do choose to buy it, I don't know exactly how much. I'm going to say it probably runs you somewhere between $70 and $80 maybe, or something in that neighborhood. The only thing I've heard some people buy that ends badly is don't buy it for an iPad or any other sort of tablet kind of device. You need it on a computer, not an iPad or a phone or something like that, because you kind of need to be able to use the keyboard and the mouse and stuff like that to do some of the stuff we're going to do. So anyway, but hopefully you have access to Microsoft Excel. If you don't, and you don't want to buy it, you can get by with free statistics spreadsheet alternatives, I guess. I'm recording this on a MacBook, which has an app called Numbers, which is free and does do all of the functionalities that Excel does. And I suppose there probably is a Windows analog to that as well. However, I would say I don't know how to do all of this stuff in all of those different platforms. So the only things I'm going to show you, where to do or how to do things are going to be in Excel. So if you sort of want to be following along with me and with the course, Excel is what you're going to get. If you choose to use something else, that's all right, but you're kind of on your own to figure out how all of that works. So anyway, aside from Excel, I would say just having sort of a regular notebook, paper and pencil kind of thing is helpful, I think, for two things. One, for taking notes. I think it's useful just from a learning perspective that when you're watching videos, right? So there's video lectures for this course. It's just like being sitting in a regular classroom. You're going to be watching these lecture videos, and I think if you're just sitting there listening, that doesn't really, it's pretty easy to get, number one, to get bored, and number two, to sort of drift away and click on some other things that are on your computer. But I think sitting there and physically taking notes can really help you kind of stay focused. So I do always recommend that people take traditional paper, pencil, notebook kinds of notes. And to be honest, to do the homework problems and the exam problems and all these other things, I mean, this is a math class. So of course you're going to be doing math computations. And even though we're going to be using Excel to do a lot of that for us, you do need to probably have some paper, be working some of these details out on paper before you go to the computer. So anyway, so for that reason, certainly have a notebook with you or just some paper to take notes. And if you want, you may want a simple calculator. Again, I wouldn't say buy anything, but maybe you have a simple calculator laying around somewhere, or even the calculator on your phone is probably good enough for just maybe some simple arithmetic kinds of things. Okay, so in addition to, there will be some reading from the ebook, although I'm going to rely on the ebook for the first unit, but then I have lectures prepared for all of the other units. So for the first week's assignment, yes, you are going to read the ebook and then do the homework, and not really do anything in Canvas. But for all the other units, for every other week, the instructional stuff that you're going to want to watch are videos that are posted and embedded in Canvas. So I'll show those to you when I switch over to Canvas. And these are videos that I've made that are similar to this one, where I'm voicing over stuff that I'm doing on my laptop, which is mostly writing stuff or going through slides, PowerPoint slides, and doing Excel work and other things like that. So that's where the majority of the course content is going to be delivered to you. So there are videos, maybe I'll show you briefly when we go over to the ebook. There are some videos that sort of come built in to the ebook, but I didn't make those videos, and you're welcome to watch them if you want, but those are not sort of expected or required by any means. So okay, so moving on, your grade, of course, is important. And we'll have a midterm and a final exam, and those will be worth 3/4 of your grade in total. And then the other fourth comes from our homework assignments. So it's pretty simple and easy grade computation thing here, I guess. The homework, I'll when I flip over, I'll show you all of this, but the homework assignments are posted in my stat lab. And, there's a variety of kinds of questions. Some of them are multiple choice or true, false even, or fill in the blank, with some words or with some computations. And it does give you some hints and some feedback. Sometimes the feedback is helpful. Sometimes, to be honest, it's kind of not all that helpful. The system does give you multiple attempts at a problem. So when you first approach the question, and you do some computations and you type in your answer, if it's wrong, it'll let you guess again. In some cases, maybe it even lets you guess a third time before it'll say something like final check or final answer or something like that. And then even that, though, if you get it wrong, it'll mark the problem wrong. But at that point, or at any future point before the assignment is due, there is an option of requesting a similar problem, which I'll show you where this is. And what that does is that it generates a brand new version of the problem and gives you guesses and attempts at that. And if you get it right on your, second or third or however many times you want to try these, you still get credit for it. So, so the homework system is pretty generous in that it should help you all to get pretty good homework scores. But I think that's actually really useful for an online course, since we don't physically see each other. We don't get as much interaction as you might in an in-person course. So the homework system is in some sense laid out to give you that extra interactivity. Anyway, so I'll show you that when we go over there. There are, again, as there were with the video lectures, there are homework assignments and review problems and all kinds of stuff that's bundled into the ebook. Again, none of that is going to be required. You're not going to get any credit for doing any of it. But if you are clicking around and find some extra problems and want to do them, that's fine. You can do them for extra practice if you want. There are due dates for each homework assignment. The way this course is laid out, there's something due every Sunday night for the whole semester. So nothing will ever be due except on a Sunday night. So that makes it pretty easy to remember when things are due, and sort of helps you hopefully with your laying out of your week and all of that stuff. Um, so there are due dates for the homework assignments, so please do make sure you turn them in or finish them by the due date. If you don't, you can submit or you can keep working on them even after the due date. However, there is a lateness penalty that's assessed. I think it's 20 or 25% a day is taken off for finishing the problems late. So you do want to make sure you have them in on time. And please do plan ahead. I know that if you start an assignment on Sunday at 6 p.m. and it's due at 11 p.m. and your Wi-Fi is out or other things happen, that's not really an excuse to get any sort of extension. So you do need to plan ahead and make sure you're giving yourself plenty of time to complete the assignments. Similarly for exams, now the exams are going to be administered through Canvas. So if you've ever taken a course that uses Canvas quizzes, this is how the midterm and the final will be administered. And these are also going to be due on Sunday nights as well. And they are timed, and so it's a similar format to the homework, but I have written those questions as opposed to the book. So they tend to be somewhat similar or more similar to the problems that I go over in the lectures and in some of the practice questions and whatnots that I provide. But it's on the same material, of course, that the homework is covering as well. So, but it is a timed exam, and obviously you're not going to be able to do multiple attempts. You only get one chance at each question. So you do want to hopefully make the most of the homework assignments. I will say, as I went past this a little bit too quickly, so just a couple of pieces of advice, I guess, then about the homework and as it relates to the exams. Of course, yes, you will be given many chances to do the homework problems and get them right, and that's great. But one thing that they'll often get as feedback from students is, well, I got 100 on the homework, or I got an A on the homework, but then on the exam I was sort of lost about how to do a lot of the questions, and they're very similar, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. But what I've found sometimes is that since you do have all these chances to do the homework problems, some people just sort of guess and check their way through to getting a good grade in homework. And I mean, that's not really a great strategy, because you're not going to be able to guess or check during the exams. And since most of your grade is coming from your performance on the exams, you do want to make sure that you're really making your best effort to learn while you're doing the homework. So my advice is always to say, well, when you're doing homework, first of all, do it on paper, and then type your answers in at the end. And for the problems you get wrong, and when you repeat them or reattempt them, make note of the things you got wrong the first time, make note of the changes you made to get them right the second time, and just sort of try to almost make cheat sheets for yourself, and say, well, it seems like I kept messing up the same thing on 3 or 4 homework problems. I'm going to write myself a big note that says, stop doing that. Instead, remember you've got to, whatever. And that way, I think when you go to take the exams are open notes, so you can obviously be looking at your notes. You sort of have hopefully laid out some advice from yourself to yourself that will hopefully help you be able to make the connection between the homework problems and the exam questions. So, but do sort of just be a little bit careful, I think, with the homework. If you're finding yourself confused or lost on homework problems, by all means, reach out, and I'm happy to give you some advice. My best advice for how we can best communicate is either, again, if you're on campus and want to meet in person, that's fine. But if you're wanting to communicate via email, the best thing you can do is if you've tried a problem and it's told you have the wrong answer and stuff, is to do 2 things. One, take a screenshot of what your screen is showing, in terms of the wrong answer and things like that. But more importantly, take a picture of the pencil and paper work that you've done, so that I can look and see the 3 or 4 steps that you did to get the answer. Because probably you did most of the steps right, and you maybe just had one small thing wrong. So if I can see what you did step by step, I have a much better chance of being able to tell you, oh, hey, you're forgetting to take the square root of that thing, or whatever it might be. So when you email me questions, please attach some sort of picture of what you've done, so that I can then give you more detailed and helpful feedback. Okay, sorry. um, so I think that's mostly it for the syllabus. If you do get extended time, which is the most common accommodation that might apply to this course, if you do, just send me a quick email. The um, academic support office will have probably already sent me an email about it. So but just if some students choose not to use their accommodation. So anyway, just send me an email. You can do so at the beginning of the semester here, and then in Canvas I can add the time and a half, and it's very easy to do. And then you have the time and a half for the exams. So, all right, I think that's it for the syllabus. I'm just going to close that, and back here to the Canvas page briefly here. So I just wanted to sort of take you through what a typical week consists of. I'll just click here into week 2 or unit 2. There's these announcements, which to be honest is mostly just, there isn't really too much useful in here. And I'll be sending you guys emails anyway, just about every week. So it's mostly just the stuff that's in the email that I send you. So probably you don't have to do too much with that. But what you should find are 3 links at least. One is to video lectures. So if you click on video lectures in each of these modules, you should see videos, obviously. So, and these are YouTube videos that are embedded right here in Canvas. So if you click play, obviously it'll play, and it'll play right here in Canvas just fine. You can also, or if you'd prefer, since this is a YouTube video, when you hit play on it, you could play it in YouTube. I'm just going to pause it so it doesn't talk over me. You could play it in YouTube. You could make it full screen, right? If I do this, now it's full screen. And, all the sort of usual YouTube things. You can turn captioning on, which can sometimes be helpful. Sometimes people say it's a little hard to sometimes hear everything. If you are having trouble hearing, I mean, you could put the captions on, of course. But also sometimes earphones are helpful. Just because sometimes like the speakers on people's computers, either they don't turn up very loudly or it's just easier to hear with earphones. So anyway, but you should have no trouble hopefully playing these videos. And in some weeks there's a whole bunch of videos. Like I think in this week there's maybe 6. Yeah, there's 6 videos. In this week, in other weeks there's maybe only a couple. And it's a varying length. Some of them are long videos. Some of them are about, are over an hour. Others are more like half an hour. Just sort of depends on how long it takes to explain whatever the topic is. So anyway, but this is, aside from the first week, you're going to be doing most of your instruction or learning most of the material by watching these videos here in Canvas. Another thing you'll see in each week are slides. Now, I'm not going to click on this, but these are just the PDF versions, basically, or PowerPoint versions of the slides that I'm voicing over in the lecture. So this is nothing new that's in these links for the slides. It's just some people have asked me in the past, oh, can you give me the slides because I like to print them out and write notes on top of them. So if that's you, if you like to do that, you're welcome to do that. Those are posted for each week as well. And then the third thing you see every week is a link to a homework or an assignment here for homework. And there's no actual homework here. So here, if I click on this one, for example, there isn't actually anything here for you to do. It's just referring you to go over to my stat lab and complete the homework over there. This is just, I put this in Canvas just for 2 reasons. One, the due dates that are down here for these assignments are the real due dates, so that's helpful. And also, for grades, I can enter a grade for you for each homework assignment, but I have to have something to sort of put it in, right? So that's mostly why these things are here. What else? I will say before I leave here then, for the first week, so this is the syllabus. These are instructions for registering for my stat lab, which I'll show you in a second. What will you do for the first week? So if you click on this link here, which you've already done because you're watching this video, if I just scroll down here, what should you be doing for the first week is reading chapter 1. Sorry, this is so small on the screen, but read chapter 1, sections 1, 2, and 3 in the ebook. And then there's a homework assignment called Homework for Chapter 1 that you're going to complete in my stat lab. All right, and this is due on the 17th at 11 p.m. Is the first assignment, is when the first assignment is due for the semester. I'll show that to you when I switch over to my stat lab in a second here. But hopefully everything here is pretty self-explanatory. As you can see, the entire course is posted and it's active right now. So you can go as quickly as you want. You can complete this whole course in a week if you really wanted to. It's spaced out so that there's something due every weekend, but you're always welcome to work ahead and finish things early if you want. If you do know that you have some plans, or I think one of these Sundays, I don't remember which one, is Easter. So if you do have plans, business or pleasure, and you're going to be missing some time, just make sure you work ahead so that you get the material done and completed in advance of whatever conflicts you might have. Since the course is completely posted and active now, there are no extensions for anything in the whole semester. So you do need to be mindful that if you do know you've got a week or two, if you're out of town for 2 weeks and aren't going to do anything, or you don't want to do anything for this class, it's fine. Just make sure you complete everything that's due in advance so that you're not behind. But of course, hopefully, even if you are traveling, you can obviously complete this material anywhere that you have Wi-Fi, right? So so hopefully it's flexible and compatible with your life. So I think that's it for Canvas. Oh, one last thing I'll say here in Canvas is that in addition to the the six instructional units, is also a link here for the midterm exam, and then if you go all the way to the bottom, the final exam. And in each of these, I'll just go back up to the midterm. The first link here is just as it suggests. This is just details and instructions or information about the exam, so obviously you can click on that anytime. But then the second link here, I don't know if you know these little guys, the little rocket ship means this is a quiz. So this is the actual exam. So when you click on this, I mean, you can click on it, but don't hit start the quiz, or I forget, it says something. Oh, yours is different. Mine says preview, but yours says like start the quiz. Don't hit that unless you're actually ready to start the quiz, because there's a little timer that'll appear over here, and it'll start counting down as soon as you say start. And since the exams are both timed, you obviously don't want to do that until you're ready to sit down for a couple of hours and complete the whole thing all at once. Okay, so I think that's it for Canvas. So the last thing I'm going to show you is that this My Stat Lab that I keep referring to. So first of all, if you click on this link right here, there's a PDF here that when you open it up, gives you step-by-step, very easy to follow instructions as to how to register for My Stat Lab, which again, that's the ebook and online homework system that we're going to be using. You do have to purchase that. I think it's about 100 to maybe 110, something like that. It's in that neighborhood. So you will need to sign up for this. Obviously, I think it gives you pretty much instant access for when you sign up. You can do a trial period. I think they let you do maybe a week or so as a trial. So, anyway, so to sign up, click on this guy right here, and then when you create a login and get an account and all of that, and you log into our course page in My Stat Lab, it'll look something like this. Now, there's a lot of stuff here, right? And some people, some schools, when they do online courses, they make this page, basically like the textbook page, is like the entire course page. In other words, this would like replace Canvas. So there's lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff here. Now, to be honest, we're going to use very little of what's actually all is in here. Really, the only two things that I think you ever need to click on when you get in here are homework, which is obviously where you click on to get to the homework. And then I don't know why they don't just say ebook, but if you click down here, this chapter contents is the link to the ebook. So I guess maybe I'll just click on that first. So if I do chapter contents, then all the chapters are outlined here on the left. We're not going to obviously do all of these chapters. We're doing chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 5, chapter 6, and chapter 9, I think it is. It says it on Canvas, but so it's just sort of a smattering, I guess, of these chapters. But if you click on any one of them, I'll click on chapter 1. You can see there's lots of things that appear over here and over here. To get to the actual ebook, you just click on one of the sections. So for this first homework assignment, you do have to read sections 1, 1, 1, 2, and 1, 3. But those are the only 3 sections that you're actually ever required to read in the course. But you're welcome to use the ebook in the other sections. But if you click on any one of the sections, here's where you get your options. This video, if you click on this, it'll take you to some sort of a video that the textbook company made, which, like I said, you're welcome to watch that if you want, but those are not the videos that I'm expecting you to watch. If you click on the second link here, multimedia e-text, basically a sort of a PDF or type of thing should pop open that has the chapter contents here. So if you click on that, it should open up, and then it lets you scroll through. And if you're done with section 1, you come back here and select section 2, and then of course e-text again, and so on and so on. And again, there's lots of fun stuff over here that if you want to read about case studies or do some activities, you're welcome to do those things, but none of those are required for the course. Okay, so let me go back over to the course homepage. So that's chapter contents. That's where you'll find the ebook, which you need to do for the first assignment. And then the other place you're going to look is homework. So if you click on homework, this is mostly what you're going to use this My Stat Lab for. The 6 homework assignments for the semester are all listed here, and the due dates are all listed over here as well. And for any assignment, if you click on it, I'll just pick this one here. You'll see, obviously, there's a bunch of questions. Some of the assignments are longer, some of them are shorter, depending on how long each question is and whatnot. And this is sort of like the home screen, I guess, for the assignment. It's got the due date here. It's got what's your score right now, and so on. So now how to start the assignment? Well, I mean, unless you're weird, you're probably going to start on question 1. So if you just start on any of these questions, you can click, and a little window pops open, as you can see. And the question loads in this little window here. And of course, the question's over here. And if this happens to be a multiple choice question, so the options in this case might be over here. There might be answers more so down below instead of off to the right. So of course, you read the question, and hopefully you figure out the answer. What is the maximum? Choose the correct. Okay, so I think it's this one, maybe. Maybe. So if I hit check answer, so if you make a guess, right, it sort of breaks the problem down into parts. So this is, it looks like there's maybe a second part to this question, but this is the first part. So if you hit check answer, it'll basically sort of grade it for you. And if you get it right, like I did, then you say, okay, great. And then I think it'll load the second part. And I'm supposed to answer this question. Now, this happens to be a fill in the blank question. So if you click on the box here, you can just type in, on the keypad on your keyboard, whatever you want. So I'll just make something up. Let's say 99. And then you can either hit check answer, or I think if you hit enter, it'll take it. Now notice, and that one I got wrong. So not that this is too hard of a question, right? But it tries to give you a little bit of advice. This question was asking what's the maximum data entry for the set. So here it tries to say, well, hey, remember the maximum data entry should be the largest value, which hopefully I'm able to gather from looking at this graph. But it will let me retry this, right? So I'll say, it wasn't 99, it was 9, let's say. And so I hit, okay, check answer. And then it pretty much gives you the same advice. But now if I try it a third time, I'll say 93. If you notice down here, it says final check. So I think 3 is sort of the default for the short answer or fill in the blank questions. I believe it gives you 3 chances before it is going to tell you what the right. So 93 is not right either. But I'm going to say, all right, well, let me try. Let me see. So on the third try, it says no. Basically, you're out of guesses. And it says, and it tells you what the correct answer is. Now, sometimes this is useful and sometimes this isn't. If this is obviously maybe something that you then look over here and say, oh, gee, 17 was the right answer, and I said 93. Maybe even you can sort of work backwards and say, oh, well, 17 was the right answer. How would I know that from looking at this graph? Oh, okay, well, let's see. There was a dot there, and that seemed to be the biggest number. So that was probably how I was supposed to figure out this answer. So I say, oh, shoot, I wish I had known that because I could have gotten this right. But the good news is, there were more parts, so it's going to keep going. But if I save this, if I could either keep going right now and keep doing more problems. You notice that this is red down here in the corner, means of course that you got that problem wrong. This is green because you got this part right. But if I just hit save, let's say, okay, I'm done with this. I'm frustrated, so I'm just going to hit save up here in the upper right corner. And it says, yes, okay, I'm sure I want to leave. Great, fine. So this is going to then take us back to this main screen here, which is sort of keeping track of or monitoring what I have completed in the assignment. So as you can see, it says I've completed a third of the first question, which is right. There were 3 parts, and I only got one of them right. And then I obviously haven't done any of the other questions yet. Now, for a question that you got anything wrong in, if you click back on it, and you could even do this days later, if I click back on it again, it's reminding me, oh, okay, you didn't, we got this first part right, we got the second part wrong, and then I'd left it here at the third part. So it'll let you, sort of continue where you left off. So minimum data entry, let's see, I think that's 11. So maybe I'll get this one right, hopefully. So I say, okay. And I got that one right. So now I'm finished with this question, so it's going to prompt me to go to the next question, so I guess I'll hit that. And of course, now here's another question where I'm going to do some work. But again, if I say, you know what, I think I'm done with this, I'm going to hit save. Now this question 1 again, one more time. I've improved myself, and now I've gotten two-thirds out of the problem right. But if you click on it again, and this was probably not a great example because there's multiple parts. This is what I mean. Down here in the lower right corner, this problem is complete, and I got 2 parts right and 1 part wrong. Okay, so but anytime you've got any questions or parts of questions that are wrong, after you've completed it and exhausted all your chances, you're still in good shape, because if you come down here in the lower right corner and click similar question, this will generate a completely new version of this question. So I'm going to hit that. And, it's not rocket science. They pretty much just sort of use different data. It's the same kind of question. And so it basically is going to let you do this whole question all over again. Now, you can't just do one part or redo one part. You've unfortunately got to do the whole problem again. But hopefully, if I do the first... Oops, I got the first part wrong. Sorry. There we go. I get the first part right. Maybe this time I get the second part right. And maybe I get the third part right also. So I got all 3 parts right, so of course I could go on to the next question, that's fine. But now if I hit save, because I'm done with this for the day, as you can finally see now, I've gotten full credit, 1 out of 1 points for this problem. Right, and you could do this for any problem, right? So it doesn't have to just be, you don't have to do them in order. But the moral of the story, at least, is that, right, if you have issues with the homework where you've gotten some problems wrong, you have, in theory, infinity chances to get, to retry them. And this is what I mean, though. Do use them sort of sparingly. I mean, I realize you want to get as many points as you can, right? And certainly keep at it if you're getting new things out of it. But do sort of make sure that you're not just kind of randomly guessing stuff, and even if you are, at least that you're taking some good notes of what you learned from doing, the wrong things, and hopefully that can inform you about the right way to do things, so that when you get to the exams, which again is really the only thing that matters in this course, is your exam scores for the most part, you've made the most of these homework opportunities here. So, okay, so I think that's it for homework. The last thing I'll just say here is that I think your scores will appear here. It's fine if your scores don't immediately appear. So if I flip back over to Canvas, your grades, I move them over manually from my StatLab over here. So it's fine if you've completed an assignment in my StatLab. It's fine if the grade does not transfer over. So you're not going to necessarily see that immediately. You'll see. I think you see your grades here, or I guess if I click on this, there. Okay. Your grades will appear here in my StatLab. As long as whatever grade is here in my StatLab, I will transfer that grade over to Canvas. So it's fine if it doesn't appear immediately. Don't freak out like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting credit for this homework. It's fine. And you can come back here. This assignment isn't due until March 24th. So if I only have a 4% right now, I can come back here and say, oh, let me keep working on it. Let me do question 11, okay, or whatever it might be. So when you're finished with the assignment, whatever your final grade is, that's what I'll move over to Canvas. All right. So as long as it says you've gotten credit here in my StatLab, you will also get credit for it in Canvas when I move your scores over. So, Okay, so I think that's it for orientation to the course, which I know is not the most exciting video, but hopefully this answered all of your questions about how to get started. So I'll just finish by saying you are now ready to get started. So I would again for the first week, the first assignment is due March 17th, which is the Sunday, and it's 11. All the assignments are due at 11 p.m. Eastern time. So wherever you are in the world, that's when your assignment is due, and one due every Sunday. So the first assignment's due on Sunday the 17th. The next assignment's due Sunday the 24th, and so on and so on. So you're welcome to get started and go. I think the course as on a whole, the first half of the semester, which are the first 3 units, the midterm exam is based on those first 3 units. The first 3 units are much easier than the second 3 units. So the course definitely gets harder as the semester goes on. So I just say that at the beginning of the semester just to say if you're good and want to race through the first few units and knock those out even in the first couple of weeks of the semester, and maybe take the midterm, instead of the midterm is due at the latest on April 7th, but I might recommend you try to get the midterm completed by the end of March, if not earlier, and then give yourself a little extra time. Unit 4 and 5 are the two really hard, really long units, as you can even see from Unit 4. These are extra videos. There's lots and lots and lots of stuff here. So these are going to be the weeks where you're going to be spending lots and lots of time on this course. So maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to get yourself a little bit ahead of schedule in the first half, so that you can hopefully have enough time and effort and energy to complete the second half. All right. The final exam is due May 5th, and then the semester ends. I believe it's on the 7th officially. So that gives me a day to get your grades computed and entered into my Endicott. And yeah, so if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email, either through Canvas or using my email address. I'll send out probably a weekly email checking in. I'll send that to your Endicott email, so hopefully you should check that email regularly. If you have some other email address you want me to use, just send me an email and ask me to add that to the class list, and I'm happy to do that. So good luck. Best of luck to you with the course. If you have any questions or need any help with anything, please feel free to reach out. And good luck.